420, damn it!
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
You like music, you like weed, well, we gonna be good friends indeed. This is how much I like more than smoking trees. They'll make you dance the do-si-do and teach you how the chiva grows. Smoke a bowl on the 420 radio show. On Lifestyle Radio.
Doobies are lit, and it's the end of an... Anyways, I'm not even going to say it. Hi, welcome to the 420
it's the
radio
start.
show.
It's not the end, it's the start.
No, it's the end of, a really disgruntled year.
No, it's the start of a nice new year.
Yeah, I hope so.
Think of the future.
I
Don't
hope
think
so.
of the past, man.
I'm going to piss everybody off.
Oh, God.
Really? I hope this new year is better than last year, because last year was pretty fucking nice for me.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you are pissing people off.
Shut up, Marcel.
I'm sorry, but to me, it was a great year. Traveling back and forth to work was awesome. There was no fucking traffic.
Fair enough. Yeah.
No crowds anywhere. People stayed away from me. Nobody fucking hugged me all year. It was fucking awesome.
Oh, God, you're going to get a lot of hugs next year. So,
Oh, I know.
I'm going to make sure I hug him every day, Al, now.
Are you?
Yeah. No, you won't.
We're missing one person that was supposed to be here this evening, Al Graham. He's not doing so good today. He's having a bout of his Crohn's flash up or flare up or whatever you want to call it. But Jack's here. Hi, Jack.
Jack's muted.
He's muted.
Hey, guys. Sorry, I muted myself because my speaker was acting up. Wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, you can't afford a new speaker this year.
You know what's funny is I have a wonderful computer. It's a really good Dell laptop, and for some reason it's got the worst speaker on it, and I can't change it because I have all my legal software on it. So it is my computer.
With mine, I lose about 5 years of stuff every 5 years or so. Unfortunately, but you can't do that. You have to have it all backed up and all secure and shit. So. Yeah. So
I got to live with the bad speaker.
Hey.
So you need like a 2 terabyte drive and just store everything on 2 terabyte drive, and then you can just take it from computer to computer.
That would be smart.
Yeah, just to back everything up.
I just saw a sale, and one of the things that was on sale was a 3 terabyte drive for $100, and I was like, "Oh man, I should go get that."
That's a pretty good deal.
It is.
Yeah.
I got my 1 terabyte for $69 last year. I got to get a new computer this year, unfortunately. Anyways,
well, I've got to get a new laptop, but I was debating and
get a Mac.
And no, I bought a couple tablets instead, and I'm actually enjoying the tablet.
Marcel loves Mac.
You can get tablets that are just like laptops. I have a Windows tablet, an Acer Windows tablet that.
Yeah, I got a Lenovo ThinkPad. I fucking love it.
Yeah, I don't mind it except for now they're experiencing, the new solid state drives. They're experiencing issues with breakdowns, just like they used to back in the hard, in the, what do you call them? The disk drives ones that we've been using for however long. And so now there's articles around on CNET and stuff about how to replace your drive when it, your solid state. Now this thing I have here, you can't even open it. There's no screws on the back, nothing. It has to go in, right? So,
well, kind of related to this, I ended up getting an Oculus for my kids.
Oh yeah, how is it?
It's amazing, but I haven't done this yet. But there's an app that you can actually create a virtual desktop. So like you watch like fucking Iron Man and shit, moving all that shit in the Marvel movies, like with his hands.
Yeah.
apparently with the Oculus, you can take control of your desktop and do that.
No, that would
I haven't
be
done
awesome.
it. You got to pay for it, but the reviews on it must work pretty fucking good.
You know
the reviews are great.
He'll have the.
I'm going to.
He'll have the subscription in a week.
Yeah.
The only thing I bought was The Walking Dead.
I forgot to take my mushrooms.
So you have to buy each of the games type thing?
There's some free demos and YouTube shit and stuff.
All right, but you bought Walking Dead. So what kind of average price are we looking at for those?
I think that was $50. I think $40.
Really?
Something like that. Wasn't bad. It's worth it. It's the coolest game I've seen in a long time.
Cool.
Comes with it?
No, we bought it.
You had to buy it, download it. But it's I got a scare. I don't know if you can see my finger, but I have a broken chandelier and a scare because I punched it out trying to stab a zombie.
Nice.
I got tennis elbow when I first got my what do you call it? My Nintendo Wii. Yeah,
well, do you remember like when the Wii came out? How fucking amazing that thing was back then.
Yeah, I loved it.
This is that again. It's just next level again. Yeah.
Oh. This is like when the Ataris came out.
Yeah.
A little bit better.
I bought a.
Oh no! Trust me, there was a lot of excitement when the Atari came out.
I was Coleco anyway.
Hey Jack, cover your ears for a second. I bought a illegal gaming system for $69.
Yeah, I got a couple of those
that
too.
has all of the old Nintendo Game Boy stuff, and I love it because it's got Dr.
Mario?
The one with the pill.
That's Dr. Mario.
Is it Dr. Mario? Okay. Yeah. I love it. And Tetris.
Yeah,
They're the only two games I've played so far.
I have a Retro Pi one.
There's like 600 games on it.
And I have an actual arcade one built with it built in.
Do you game, Jack? Do you play games?
I'm not very good at it, but I do like to play video games sometimes, but I'm pretty clueless about it.
Me too. I used to play Quake and Duke Nukem and stuff like that.
A big one that we used to play was America's Army.
I've heard of that. Yeah, I've heard of that.
It was actually developed by the U.S. Army as a recruitment tool. So they literally gave it out for free.
This sounds like the synopsis of the last Starfighter movie.
It's pretty much it was, and
wow.
And you basically had to go through basic training and things like that. But what it showed is they actually increased their recruitment rates because people were seeing how cool it is to be in the Army until they actually had to physically do it, not sit there with a fucking joystick.
Hey, the hobo's here. Hey, hobo. He's inside today too. He's not crammed down in his little room. So,
oh wow!
What
let him upstairs?
What did we want to chat about today? Huh? Let's.
Is Jack's book out? The psilocybin book?
Yeah, it's out.
It's out.
I'm still waiting for.
How's it doing sales wise?
Good. Yeah, good. We're quite pleased. Yeah,
I was still waiting for my copy to do a review.
It's supposed to have been sent. That actually, Andy was supposed to send that, so you should have that.
I don't have that.
I've seen it at because I've been into
because I'm going to try all the recipes.
So I've seen it, but I've held
it. 90 recipes,
but I've not read it. How many recipes are in it?
Well, Facebook flag us for talking about the book.
Okay, no,
wow.
I'm not going to say I'm going to make every recipe because there's some recipes I'm not going to make for sure. Because if it's something that I'm not going to eat, I'm not going to make it. Like cheesecake.
We're gonna do. I'm gonna get you to come up when we do a retreat, Jack, to talk, and you can do 10 different recipes if you like. We'll get a cook up, and we'll have some fun, and we'll stream it all. It'll be a bunch of blithering idiots running around.
The psilocybin chef cookbook retreat.
There you go. Okay, you got it, buddy.
Now, if we keep talking about Jack's book, are we going to get a Facebook flag tonight?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Well,
yeah, you might. I've been having that headache for ages. What's funny is I consulted with Facebook on that stuff, like I'm with Normal Canada.
Yeah.
And they were like, could you guys talk to us about censorship on Facebook? And it's like all the stuff like that we talked about, we all agreed that like censorship is bad and free expression is good. They didn't follow any of it.
They what? So
they said it to his face. They agreed with him to his face. As soon as he walked away, they fucking ignore him.
Yeah, well, I mean,
they're going back and they're flagging posts on me from back in.
They're doing. It's not just you, dude. It's happening. I'm getting it too. I've got flags on posts from fucking 10 years ago.
How bored are these people that they've got to go back 5 and 6 years?
Is there? Did they let on that if there's any actual rumors? The rumors are that they're actually censoring the cannabis community. Did they say anything about it, Jack?
Like during my interactions with them, they seemed very alive to all the stuff I was concerned about, which is basically like a huge part of our history that's been recorded on their medium.
On Facebook, yeah.
And they could just delete it out of the blue, right? And so I sort of said to them, like, there's actually like a cultural element to this, beyond the free expression issue. And they seemed like they were listening, but
is there legal argument to the cultural part of it?
Well, like from a charter perspective, not really. They own the platform,
yeah.
So
they can. It's like walking into somebody's house. You do what they say.
Yeah, I think the rule in expression issues is like you can't compel someone to provide you with a microphone. They just can't, or a megaphone. They just can't, deny your ability to speak. And so I think Facebook makes me very nervous as a
lot of people have
as a storage vessel for historical items. And I've got a lot of, like, all my books are on there. Like, it's a source of stress for me, for sure.
The interesting thing I find is Facebook, and now they're being told to stop, I hear, is buying up all these little companies like WhatsApp and Instagram and a whole bunch of other, Oculus and all kinds of other stuff. And yet people are flocking to Twitter to express an illegal argument or an illegal business or porn or whatever. And they think
it's worse, though, aren't they?
It's on Instagram, you can get away with posting lots of crap, and that doesn't get flagged like it does on Facebook. But
I think that's about to change. Have you looked at Instagram's new terms of service?
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Yeah, it's all going to it's all going to start happening at the same time on all these platforms because they're all owned by Facebook. It's like Microsoft and when they put out their upgrades. Do we do it for free or do we charge people? Apple did the same thing, right? It's beyond big business, I guess.
I think MySpace is going to make a comeback.
You think?
That's awesome, Lenny.
MySpace and GeoCities are coming back. Actually, I was wondering about GeoCities the other day. They even still exist.
I don't know.
Oh, that's awesome. I used to love those websites. Geos. I'm looking it up right now, dude.
Me too. Yahoo GeoCities. Yeah, it's on Wikipedia.
It opens into Yahoo Small Business. That's trippy.
Wow.
Yeah. GeoCities dies in March 2019.
Wow. So what do we think about? I'm changing the subject while you guys are googling. What do we think about what happened in 2020 with regards to our lovely plant we know as Cannabis sativa?
Well, it's sad that we lost an old pothead who was always my favorite. That happened in 2020.
Who's that?
Marianne died.
She's not here.
No, she's not
here. No. She said in a post there, now I know who Marianne is. She had no.
she didn't know why we called her Marianne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she looked like Dawn. Was it Dawn Marie? Was it not her name? Anyways, Yeah, there was a few people we lost this year. Some because of COVID, some because of old age. It's really starting to. Is it coming down where you are, Jack? It's coming down over Scarborough. That's for sure.
Oh, actually, I have a good one. Here's not about 2020, but the whole CBD CO2 patent violation lawsuit starting to go on now.
Oh, take it away, dude.
Yeah.
Well, just Cannabis apparently suing GW Pharma for CO2 extraction patent violation.
Yeah, because they figured they owned the patent on it.
That ought to get interesting.
Yeah.
They're actually quite litigious, Cannabis. Like, they have lawsuits in so many different...
I kind of... Like, CO2 extraction existed well before the cannabis era. One would have to think there'd be some sort of prior... Like, could you even patent any of that stuff?
Well, it depends. If it's patented, then it's patented, right? But
who owns the patent on it? Does Canopy own a? Did Canopy go out and get a patent on something that GW was doing for years?
Well, I think they purchased it off a German company, and so when they purchased it, like for a fairly significant amount of money, their position, I think, is that they purchased the patent for that method. Now, you know, who knows? Maybe that German company had been doing business with GW for years. You know what I mean? So it's tricky. I don't know why they would file it in Texas. I'm sure they've got a reason for that. But
yeah, there's another good one there with GW being out of England, Canopy being out of Canada, and they file it. Let's file this in Texas.
Yeah, well, they have some footing in America, but it's hard to run a legal weed.
I forgot to turn on Facebook, guys, so I'm going to do that right now.
Hey, they can't fucking flag us when we're not on.
Yeah.
No, I just kind of figured it's like CO2 extraction period's been around before cannabis. Like there's nutraceutical worlds. It's not like these CO2 extractors were built for cannabis only. So I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, I did a case in like 2015, and I had an expert that was dealing with that stuff, and it's like the perfume industry was using CO2 extraction
essential oils, any of it.
Yeah, so this is not unique to cannabis.
No, and there's the concept of prior art, right? So just because you say, well, I'm going to extract cannabis, I'm going to create the patent for that. So it's just, anyway. And the other ironic thing is, I think GW Pharma has their own lawsuits in the U.S. For people making CBD isolate or selling CBD isolate, I believe. So
that's crazy.
So I'm just laughing because I don't know if cannabis companies want to get into these patent lawsuits because that's right where pharma fucking rules.
Exactly, and it's also it's like the cannabis space is just like the worst. Like it's not a great industry for patents, right? Yeah. Because we tend to share ideas and knowledge. Like that's our bag generally. So
I would think that it would be pretty easy to change the recipe, just one little thing to change the patent, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but there's even rules about that, though, isn't there? You got to be careful on that.
Yeah, like the patent will capture a fairly significant amount of what's there. So yeah, a slight tweak is unlikely to get you around a patent.
Okay.
But you've got a great defense if you're alleged to have infringed it. I guess that's what I'll say.
Well, I know that I've heard that argument being used in a lot of music disputes, right? It changed 3 notes to it. It's not the same song, right?
That's a different form of intellectual property. I'm not an IP lawyer, but so copyright's a different form of intellectual property than a patent.
Okay.
Patent is basically a government-issued monopoly on a certain, idea, provided the fact that after 20 years you make it free and available to the open market. And so they offer those to encourage companies to, spend money on coming up with cool ideas and on ways to do things. And those companies won't do it unless, that they're guaranteed some kind of a profit off of it. And so they get a patent on it so that they can basically, go gangbusters for 20 years.
It's only a patent only lasts 20 years?
Yeah.
Well, don't quote me. It's going to be different. Like for a Canadian patent,
I think it is 20 years.
Oh, wow.
It depends on what the patent is. Some are 20 and some are 25, but you can get extensions on the patent if you're willing to pay for it. So you can actually patent longer, but it costs you quite a bit of money.
Okay.
It falls under what kind of a patent do you get to begin with. So some of them, like I say, some can be 20 years and some are 25.
And again, I didn't really read the article too closely. I think they said there was it was a specific CO2 extraction process or step. So, Lord knows what it was or what it is.
It's just bullshit. I mean, it just creates more reasons to do it yourself, I guess.
Well, I kind of make fun of CBD isolate anyway. So.
Why?
Because it doesn't work as well.
I'm sure there's people that'll. I get emails from people weekly that'll argue that point with you. I'm sure.
Oh, that it works better?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fucking wrong. All kinds of science to show it doesn't. There's the only reason CBD isolate came out, in my opinion, is because you have many countries that had a zero THC policy.
They needed to get around the argument.
Yeah. Exactly. That's why it exists, in my opinion. Now, from a manufacturing standpoint, an isolate powder is a lot easier to work with. But there's numerous studies showing the bell-shaped curve that you do need the other cannabinoids, or you'll get this kind of bell-shaped curve that eventually you keep increasing the dose and it stops working.
Here's something that I've never asked you guys, and it just popped into my head. Is there a powder version of a full extract yet? Waiting for Marcel.
Yes, go ahead, Marcel.
Yeah,
Marcel.
Yes, I was actually playing with some today.
Okay.
Yes, and there's a patent
do you have
on
a patent
that.
on that, Marcel?
That's where I was going, Marcel.
Yes. And yes, this is why I do know so much about patents, because we do have a patent on that. But you can get a powdered THC, which is an isolate.
Yeah, you can do that too. But the same thing.
Right?
Guess what?
But it's not a whole.
But Nabalone's existed for years.
I was on it for 5 years.
But
yeah.
The difference between mine and Nabalone is Nabalone synthetic, and mine is a whole plant extract that's turned to a powder.
And eventually you're going to start having back and kidney issues on the Nabalone, and your doctor will tell you, no, you weren't, but I'm going to say bullshit because I was on it for 5 years. I could barely walk after 3.
You're not the first person that I've heard that from,
Yeah. I asked my doctor if that would affect it. I even asked Ira Price if Nabalone would affect my kidneys, and it was just, no. There's no reason why it would, but yeah, it did, because the minute I went off it, it stopped. I think it was because of the diabetes. Yeah, I was having trouble processing it. I don't fucking know. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
Let's sue them, Jack, just to find out.
We'll get to the bottom of this.
I just want to also...
In about 2025, we will get to the bottom of it.
I also want to remind people, just because I can, we have 19 more days.
Of what?
Nobody gets that. It's a great joke. People in the U.S. should get that. We have 19 days till the 20th.
Before Trump?
Oh.
Now, I read the other day that he's actually said he's not leaving. Okay. Could you imagine if Justin Trudeau did that? Could you imagine if Mr. Moist was like, "No, I'm not leaving. My dad was here. I'm not leaving now."
Listen, I wouldn't put it past the fucking liberals right now. So, COVID's been very convenient for the politicians in this world. So.
Has it?
Yeah, except if you're the finance minister in Ontario.
Except for that guy.
Yeah, he actually resigned, I hear, yeah.
Yeah, he kind of had no choice.
All right, so we've got 3 people watching on Facebook. Let's all wave.
Marcel is waving.
I am waving.
Yeah,
I look like an idiot here, but
Darcy's
I'm waving.
disappeared. Marcel's... Jeez, come on, guys.
I'm shy.
I'm really.
What else? It seems
really
like there was a lot of cannabis stuff. We're missing stuff.
Yeah, we're just getting rolling. We'll figure
It'll come back to us.
It'll come back.
It'll come back.
I'm going to look at some of the articles that I've posted.
That's what I'm doing.
And
Health Canada concerned too much cannabis is being grown at home was an article.
Jack, you would know more than any of us because you work with Normal. Is there any validity to what's happening here with Health Canada putting out feelers for help changing things?
Well, they've been doing lots of basically public consultations of late. So the Special Access Protocol has a public consultation right now for mostly it's focused on psilocybin and some other psychedelic substances.
Is it really?
Yeah, so that's going on into, I think, February. For cannabis, there's been rumblings for some time. I believe they are seeking on the sort of anniversary, starting to seek updates from the public in regards to suggestions for, better ways for legalization. All of that you can see just on Health Canada's website.
Yeah, I mean, but the articles that are coming out are making it sound like they want to make some substantial changes, even to maybe how many you can grow and things like that.
Yeah, they might. So there's a formula, of course, that we all are aware of. So they may seek to amend that formula somehow. It's impossible to know what they're going to try to do, but that would certainly be, yeah. Rumor has it they may sort of take a run at that. Yes.
Do you think it has something to do with the fact that in the States, a lot of different states have higher limits on the grow your own thing? Because most states have like 6 plant limit, right?
Right. Yeah, I think it has more to do with a concerted and politicized effort by law enforcement to target the medical cannabis community. So people with large licenses. Law enforcement is essentially trying to take a run at them. I think politically it's to benefit legal, I guess, their view of legal storefronts and things of this nature. But that's my impression, is that it's a direct link to sort of what I view as a 3-year campaign against medical growers,
Wow. So are the fights not over yet?
Yeah, it's fun, actually. You can look at the articles. I did a radio show in Vancouver where they kept like citing this officer, and they're saying this is brand new. And I said, actually, look this officer up. He makes the exact same press conference saying that medical cannabis growers are evil and are disrupting society. He does it every year in October, and you look and it's like October 2020 he did it, October 2019 same speech, October 2018 same speech. I was like, so you're telling me this is a crisis, but he's been doing it every year very consistently, the same sort of diatribe against the medical cannabis community. But, with that said, it has sort of, it's gotten sort of heavier lately. So maybe changes are afoot.
We were talking about that last week, or was it 2 weeks ago, I guess. If they were to change your plant limit to 6, 8, okay, that would, that could feasibly remove the need for the medical program, could it not?
No,
I don't think
not
so.
Not at all.
I think I've just dealt with too many files where a person has a legitimate need for a larger plant count, and I just like what makes me very nervous is that there's no constitutional requirement for a good, workable, or reasonable recreational cannabis system. There is a constitutional requirement for a reasonable medical,
and that's the one they're fucking ignoring.
And and so like I get very nervous anytime like that's the language from Health Canada fairly consistently for the last, I would say, 3 years, has basically been, if you are unable to access your medical cannabis, wink, you can just get it at a recreational cannabis store.
Yeah,
that's what
wink,
they're doing.
Which is basically Health Canada saying, screw you, it's not medicine, and you can just go buy it at the beer store like all the other people that smoke cannabis recreationally. And I think that's a very dangerous trend, because as a community, we're far more vulnerable without those constitutional protections that have sort of been built up for the last 30 years, right?
Have they even acknowledged?
My question for you, Jack, are medical growers actually finding it harder to actually get the physician to write the documentation to do their grows? Is that becoming an issue?
Yeah, there's some of the colleges are targeting doctors for writing prescriptions. Yeah. This was, even when you look at the regulatory impact analysis statements from when Parliament was doing the very first amendments to the MMAR, like way back, like they were actively talking with physicians, and physicians said, we're very uncomfortable being like the arbiters of who's allowed to have this, of having cannabis. A lot of that was a reaction to sort of what was happening to Dr. Kammerman's back in the day, and to actually, you mentioned Dr. Ira, like, they made Ira's life miserable over this.
They still are.
We're trying to help some, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I like they are going to target doctors by way of the colleges, yes. And like what's fascinating is that doctors specifically told the federal government, we're super uncomfortable with this. Every college of physicians, like across the country, said, we are uncomfortable with this. So tell us what to do. And so Parliament comes back to doctors and says, listen, all you're doing is listening to the patient. It's patient driven. They tell you how much cannabis they use, and you write the prescription based on how much cannabis they use. So it's like, it's horrible when I see these poor physicians getting targeted. And I have some files like that, and it's brutal because I go, like, actually Parliament, like, either the federal government's allowed to write laws and we follow them, or they're not. And like they wrote a law where they said, look, it's not up to the doctor, it's up to the patient. So, you can't then use a provincial college to target that doctor. Like, it's just rubbish. But they're doing it. Like, they're absolutely doing it. I think. So I that's kind of a long answer to a fairly straightforward.
Well, no, I appreciate your answer, because it's funny, the College of Physicians have no problem with their doctors prescribing gabapentin or unlimited or opiates. They didn't used to care. Opiates they care about now, but they didn't used to have concerns about that.
It's completely unfair. It's brutal, and I think part of it as well is that for many patients, it is like, it's quite legitimate, their plant counts, right? And then suddenly they can't. So I think that the real answer is a loosening of restrictions all the way through. I think the real answer is for them to have recognized at an earlier stage that the criminal law power, which is how they regulate cannabis, the criminal law power is not the right constitutional branch to regulate this industry, right? Or to regulate this plant. Like, it's not a criminal law issue. So I'm in court, fairly regularly dealing with it. And even judges are kind of uncomfortable with it. They go like, this feels more like a tax case, or this feels more like some kind of a regulatory case. Really? Yeah. And so and I agree with that. So technically cannabis is regulated the same as the criminal code pursuant to, like lawyers would call it, Section 91, sub 27 of the Constitution Act, 1867. So basically, it's a federal power that carries all the stigma of the criminal law. And I just think it's the wrong head of power. I think what they should have done is granted it to provinces and let provinces say, all right, this is how we're going to do cannabis. And I think that would have been with loose, some kind of loose federal authority guiding it. But anyway, we have the system that we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't brew wine or beer, but is there any limit how much you can brew at your home?
No.
I'm just curious. Yeah.
What about
there's
tobacco?
No limit.
15 kilograms per year per 18-year-old.
For tobacco?
Tobacco. They have a limit on how much dried you can have.
So it's not illegal until it's dry. I like that.
Very surreal.
Yeah. And
tobacco is kind of a frustrating. Conroy always used to sort of compare tobacco and cannabis on that. I like Len. I think you're onto it with beer or wine. It's like they would never. You know what I mean? Like a cop comes to your house. You could have 200 cases of beer, and he'd just go like, "Wow, that's a lot of beer." Okay,
yeah.
So I'm looking for this and this. But if you have 200 kilograms of cannabis, even though pretty much every province lawfully has no limit on your how much licit cannabis you're entitled to store at your house. So, like in Ontario, for example, you could have 200 pounds or 200 kilograms, so long as it's all licit. The issue is that the person that decides whether it's licit or illicit is the cop, right? So you sort of, it could be dangerous.
Most
to have
cops
that
would come in and go, aha.
Definitely not licit, or they'll just trash it. They'll destroy it all and then not charge you. So
Give me 50 pounds of it and I won't charge you for anything.
Well, no, I would never suggest that, but I will say, I would say that you would you're going to want to have a very clear chain of custody on the licit background to your cannabis if you're going to have that much stored.
So,
what if you're a really, really good grower, Jack, and you can grow 5 pounds of plant indoors off your 4 plants, and he comes in and he sees your 20 pounds, and he's like, "You didn't grow that off 4 plants."
Well, you'll win. He might.
How do you know how I can grow?
Exactly. I think it's a winner. I think it's bound. It's just that, do you want to be the person that has to sit in court and argue that?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true.
You know what I mean? That's the last thing you want.
Oh, fuck yes.
Would that be an expensive argument, Jack?
Well, you'd need one expert, and so you're looking at least 3 days of court time. So it's not cheap, certainly.
I would still become as much of a pain in the ass as Chris ends. I mean, the courts love him. You can tell. But I would make life fucking miserable for them.
Oh, boy. Well, everyone is working hard, certainly. But never go into litigation saying I'm going to make everybody miserable. Go in to win, right? That's why we argue.
That's how I make everybody miserable. Here's the way I've looked, and you're probably going to get pissed off at me if you want, Jack, but that's fine.
I never get pissed off, don't worry.
I've always thought this about the law system and how lawyers work, and it's almost like a point system. It's like hockey. So if you get a win, then you get the point. If you lose, don't get the point. But if you take a plea deal, it's a tie. So both people get a fucking point, right? So when it comes to plea deals, it's almost like your defense and your prosecution are working together to screw you.
Oh, well, I don't necessarily agree with that.
No,
sometimes,
but it's just the way I see it. I look at it as being points. Lawyers come out saying, "All right, I won that one. That's a point. Oh, I got a plea deal, so I guess still get a point, but so does the other team."
Right.
See, I pissed them off.
But no, I certainly, I understand and hear what you're saying. It's nobody wants to be in front of the court system. It's a terribly stressful and difficult thing. So I certainly, I never discount any way of dealing with file that can benefit a client. So I don't like.
I would need to go to court with a judge.
The greatest thing you can do is to resolve it with some type of fair admission in order, you know what I mean? Sometimes that's the absolute best thing for a person.
Have the type of charges changed since legalization, Jack?
Well, I think police really struggled to figure out how to charge a lot of behaviors. And I'm seeing, I've got them all over the place, but I'm seeing like officers sort of learning as they go. So just like sometimes they're laying a mix of provincial and federal charges, which technically they're not supposed to do. And then as well, but it's in your interest for them to do it because it creates a useful way to resolve the file without a criminal record, right? But I'm seeing a lot of mixed provincial and federal charges. I'm seeing a lot of like Section 10, which is the sale provision, has basically replaced Section 5 of the CDSA just for cannabis. So, you know, most of it, if you're selling, comes in under Section 10. But we are seeing police start to use Section 9 of the Cannabis Act sort of more effectively, which is distribution. So, you know, possession for the purpose of distribution, which is almost like it's like a charge designed to target couriers and mail order people, and so they're starting to use it. That's so. Sections 9 and 10 are starting to be used more. It remains to be seen. We're going to have a big case on it. It remains to be seen, you know, whether there's a tribal defense if someone's charged under one but not the other. And stuff like that. So there's lots of, that's really fun for lawyers. Like I find it quite fascinating, and I frequently sort of work on files where I say like, "Yeah, you've charged him under Section 9, should have charged him under Section 10." You know, and I say, "Get out of here." It's never actually had to litigate it yet, but I love that argument. I think it's a very technical argument, but it's quite interesting.
I got a couple cannabis legal questions for Jack.
Okay.
One is personal because we have Darcy and Marcel, and we and Dale and all of us have cannabis. But if we wanted to gift cannabis to each other or a plant, tradesy, how can we get into trouble? And my next question was just because it is happening all over Canada, and there was some recent charges laid on First Nation cannabis dispensaries. Just if you have any update on their scenarios.
From what I understand, because my place is up near the res, so I'm pretty up on that stuff. What happened there is, yes, there was some stuff going on in Tanganyika, I think it was. And
I'm talking about. There's one in Nova Scotia happened too.
But it's usually what I'm getting at is it's usually they've rented out space to somebody non-Indigenous, right? That's what I've heard this has happened here.
This raid was a whole street full.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They raided all of them.
Oh yeah, that was recently. Yes, I heard about that.
Yeah, just before Christmas. So that's why I was kind of asking Jack if there's any updates or where's the federal government going with everything, or.
So I guess I'll just go through. So we're not entitled to gift under 30 grams to another person. We're simply not disentitled. And it sounds like a ridiculous distinction, but it's actually kind of important. It means we don't have any lawful authority to gift someone 29 grams or 28 grams of illicit cannabis. So we don't have lawful authority to do it, but if we did it, it's not illegal, right? So it's in some ways that's my favorite part of legalization because it sort of legalized. You grew like a really cool plant and it smells like bubble gum, and you really want to share it with your friend. It's totally lawful to do that, right? Cool. So,
are bud swaps lawful?
Bud swaps. So a big bud swap meet, you would run into a potential. This is sort of that remaining question under Section 9 of the legislation is whether or not you are not disentitled to do that. My position, of course, is fill your boots and that.
Okay, so let's have a bud swap this summer.
but of course, again, we don't know because the federal government, in its infinite wisdom, provided no guidance whatsoever on this lack of disentitlement that they've sort of foisted into the legislation. So we don't know. My position is Kirk. So I worked for Kirk Tusaw for years. So his position is even more purposive with the legislation. I love his position. I don't know if I'm comfortable like saying like, yeah, sure, go nuts. Like I'm not going that far, but you are entitled to share under 30 grams. You'd be entitled to share one clone.
Like if you came over here and I said, here, buddy, try this. That's basically illegal. Even though I'm in my own home?
That's perfectly lawful.
It is.
Perfectly lawful.
But if I say, here, would you like a few grams? It's...
That's still lawful.
Really? Okay.
Totally okay.
You can gift up to 30 grams, but depends on the police, because the police say that's 30 grams of stuff you've purchased from the Nova Scotia liquor or OCB.
Yeah,
or
so
it is.
Where you run into trouble is what I frequently said is that how do we define licit versus illicit cannabis? So you're perfectly entitled to share that 30 grams, but it has to be, according to the legislation, it has to be licit cannabis. And so it comes down to whether or not whatever you shared qualifies as licit cannabis. And I've had Crowns, argue
the argument,
that unless you can trace the genetics of the strain back to a legal strain from an LP, then it's not licit And I'm kind of going like, okay, well, you go ahead, like you go get your genetics testing kit in your Inspector Gadget robe and
so
tell me what is and isn't licit. It's all the same bloody cannabis.
Maybe they should inspect the LP cannabis at the same time.
Well, yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. And I think that's the core issue here is that, the arbiter of licitness is, a cop. And he does, basically. So it's, I think, in some ways destined for litigation. But at the same time, my hope is that the government just chills out about this and just sort of eventually goes like, all right, we're all done with the cannabis stuff. We're going to focus on whatever.
So then what I understand there, Jack, is you're legally allowed to grow your 4 plants for yourself only. But if you want to gift your cannabis, you have to buy it from a legal store.
No, you'd be lawfully entitled to share some of the cannabis you grew with your 4 plants. You're not disentitled, so you're allowed to do that. The position that the government could take is that, where'd you get the seeds to grow that plant? Did you buy them from so Darcy, you're in Nova Scotia, I think. So did you buy it from Cannabis the Nova Scotia liquor store that sells the cannabis there? Did you buy it from them? And if your answer is no, then they have an argument that it's not licit cannabis.
No, he got it from work. I'm kidding. He didn't.
Yeah, right.
He did not get it from work.
So, that it's the
one place he did not get it from is work.
I was joking.
Yeah,
Calm down, Len.
Don't even joke about that one, Al.
That's not even jokeable.
They're not. So it's this tricky situation because most of us we go like, I don't know, they were seeds I saved from this, or it's like, yeah, I bought them, off the internet, which of course that's technically, arguably not allowed, right? Yeah. So.
Wow. Yeah, so there's that's that gray area thing that comes all back in, or if you want to call it a gray area, that comes all back into play.
That's the say one thing, do another area.
Yeah, I do think it is a gray area. I think that basically you've got an incredible defense as long as you can basically show where the cannabis came from.
My bedroom.
My yard.
Yeah. I just woke up, it was there.
Yeah, I woke up one morning, there was 4 plants hanging.
A bag was on my doorknob, officer.
Yeah. I got mine from UPS.
I don't know, pollen drift. I'm not sure what happened.
I thought I was growing tomatoes.
Yeah.
Mexican ones.
Cops all know me in this town. They've been well educated, so they know to stay away.
Are we ready for a tune?
Sure.
All right. And then when we come back, Darcy, are you ready?
I posted you a link in the chat room if you want to share that.
When we come back.
Winter Storm?
I have on about something now.
Yeah. and so, Darcy, I did a little thingy for your segment. I don't know if you'll like it, but I don't care at this point. But so when we come back from this song, which is Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, You Get Me High, all right, just go right into your thing and unmute your mic, and you can go right into your thing. All right? You'll get it. You'll be able to follow along. Just don't get up and go away like you usually do during a break. Okay.
Yes, now you're making me sit here, and I really want to smoke a joint.
You got 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
4 minutes. Are you ready?
4 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right. This is the 420 Radio Show. We will be right back after a song, and then we'll hear what Darcy has to say.
You're listening to the randomness that is 420radio.com. Sorry, that's 420radio.ca. Powered by ADHD and fueled by cannabis.
And my fingertips, imagination running wild. You get me high. You get me high. You give me something so deep. Get me high. I remember feeling this way. You can lose it without knowing. You wake up and you don't know which way the wind is blowing.
Hey, this is Cheech.
And this is Chong.
And you're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
What is it?
Lifestyle Radio. Say it one more time.
420 Radio?
Ooh.
This is how we grow the weed.
Go ahead, Darce.
That's awesome.
You'll get the hang out of it. You'll get in there.
That's awesome. No, I'm just going to blab on a little bit about just some of the stuff I talked about over the last year, I guess. So some of the stuff about cloning, about veg, and a little bit about flour and drying and curing, and a little bit what to do with all that leftover leaf that you have that you were going to throw in the garbage, but you can actually make your medicine out of. So, so I'll start with that. I'll bounce all over the place here, but I'll start with that tonight, Al. You got a whole bunch of, you just trimmed your plants, you got a whole bunch of leftover byproduct or leaf and little tiny buds. What to do with them? You can, most people, I shouldn't say most people, some people throw it in the garbage, which is a waste because there is medicine on them, on all that sugar leaf. All them little tiny trichomes, or you can harvest them and get some medicine out of them. So usually for every pound, depending on how sugary it is, you can get anywhere between 30 and 60, maybe 70 grams if you're turning it into oil. If it's hash, it varies. You can also make butter with it. Soak it in some alcohol, make a tincture with it. There's many different things you can do with it. So don't throw it out. There's lots of information on the internet about what to do with it. Just do your research, make sure you're reading it from a credible site, because that's very important. Don't need people blowing themselves. Don't need people blowing themselves up. Reading a faulty or a stupid website that tells you how to make oil and tells you to make it indoors, because that's a big no-no. If you make oil, make it outdoors. Technically, under the Cannabis Act, your only way you're allowed to extract it is bubble hash or rosin. So make sure you read that up well so you don't get yourself in trouble, because that's very important. We don't need anybody out there getting in trouble. So that's what you can do with all your byproduct. Now, when it comes to cloning, just remember to pH your water. Make sure if you're using a media, make sure it's thoroughly dampened, because you don't want any dry spots in there. It would suck to, cut all your clones and shove them in soil, and the middle of your soil is dry, and you're wondering why your clones are wilting over on you, and I can't get this. Well, no, it's because your media isn't properly moistened. So that's always a big thing. pH your water is another thing. That'll help speed up your rooting process. Because if your pH is off, it will throw your time of your rooting process off. Make sure you got a hydrodome for all you beginners out there, because it will help you a lot. It'll save you some time. I don't clone with a hydrodome anymore because I figured out how to do it and to keep them moistened enough so they'll still root up in the same amount of time. So and if you're using rock wool, like I say, make sure it's you soak it you pre-soak it, and there is instructions on most rock wool. There is instructions on the outside of the bag. Those are all just guidelines from the company, so you don't fuck up, I guess, how I would put it. But when it comes to feeding charts, that's all in the person, because strains dependent from strain to strain when it comes to feeding. Some strains like a lot of food, other strains don't like not as much food. So that's all comes down to yourself, but most of them charts are guidelines. So always make sure you pay attention when it comes to that stuff. So because some plants like more and some plants like less. So when it comes to vegging, veg plants, make sure you just keep things under control in there. Depending on what method you want to grow, is all in how you're going to prune and how you keep an eye on them plants. If you're going to LST them, then that takes a little. It's a little less work, I find, than scrogging, but it's always good to have that support with that scrog net there. So right now I'm helping a friend out with 2 rooms in his medical grow. One's a scrog and one's more LST, and I'm finding the room that's more LST is giving me way more production than the other room, and the strains in them in between the 2 rooms are pretty much identical. So I can kind of run a half decent test and get some pretty good results. So, but yeah, so comes to pruning, don't cut off too much leaf, but you got to remember you're in the bud growing business, not the leaf growing business. So leaf is good, but too much will cause you issues if you don't have your room set up right. You could run into powdery mildew problems. You could also run into a bug problem. So keep an eye on them things, check them leaves at least once or twice a week. I like to sit in my room every other day and just stare at the plants, see if I noticed anything different from the day before. Look at the leaf, see if there's any marks on it, because those little tiny marks, some of them little tiny marks can be your first identification of a bug infestation if you have one. So it's always good to pay attention to that stuff. And if you do get a bug infestation, well, there's many ways you can treat it. There you can go the chemical way, you can go the organic way. There's many debates out there. I prefer to use beneficial bugs if all possible. It's wintertime now, so it's hard to get them shipped, so they'll still stay alive. So you always got to pay attention to that too when it comes to that stuff. And with nutrients now too, because most nutrients, once it freezes, it separates. Yeah, and once it separates, sometimes it makes it so it's no good or it's not as effective. So the 2 companies that I use for nutrients, they prefer not to ship you their nutrients in the wintertime because most delivery trucks aren't heated. So, and if you do get it, it'll cost you 10 times more in shipping too. So, because if it does have to be heated, well, that's an extra cost in shipping. So, try to stock up if you can on your nutrients in the fall or the spring, or summer, I guess, if that's when you want to buy them. But yeah, so
anytime.
Yeah, except for winter. I don't like to ship because it does cost you money. I paid an extra $50 more for my package in the wintertime than I do in the summertime to get it shipped. Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
Because it has to be wrapped in like a heat shield material. It's like a bubble wrap that's all shiny, and it holds in the heat, but it also reflects away the cold. So,
more expensive stuff, yeah.
It is, yeah. It is more expensive stuff. So that's why I prefer this to get them then, or if you go to your local hydro shop, buy them there. But I know a lot of people buy stuff online now, so that's where they prefer to get them because you actually get really good deals on there right now. I know there's a website that I was looking at the other day where I could buy my psycho kits. They were $179.99. Then they dropped them to $149.99. Now they've dropped them to $135.99. So I was like, wow, that's a big difference. It's a 61% savings. So from a regular cost of them. So that's a big difference. I figure they'll sell over them here soon. So, but yeah. So when it comes to flower, pay attention. If you're growing from seed, make sure you catch them pesky males before they pollinate your crop, because that's always a bad thing. When you walk in there one day and, oh no, what are them little bananas hanging there and all that yellow stuff blowing around? That's pollen. That's not good unless you want seed. And most growers that I know don't want seed. They want a centimia crop, which is seedless. So they prefer that. But so it's always good to keep an eye on them plants. I like to after day one of flower, I like to strip my plants. I like to pick pretty near all the leaf off them. Let them get a lot of light into them shoots, and then I like to do it again on day 21. Pick them down again. I prefer to go 3 bud sites down from your top bud and strip everything else from there down. I find a concentration more of the grow, more of the flower production on them top colas, so it blows them out a lot bigger. And don't be afraid to feed. But like I said, pay attention because some strains don't like it and others do. So when you do get into that stuff, pay really close attention, because if you let your plants dry out too much and you got high EC value built up in that media, you'll burn the piss out of your plants and you can ruin your crop. So it's always good to pay attention to that. So if you can measure your pH and your EC of your media and of your water going in and your water going out, that's very important. So, and then it comes time to harvesting. Well, when it comes time to harvesting, you can have a really good grow and then fuck up when it comes to drying, because if you dry too fast, well,
what's the length of time, the optimum length of time for hanging?
That varies between person to person. I mean, myself, I like to hand trim, wet dry, or dry trim. Marcel, he prefers to wet trim.
I've helped with both.
I like to let mine hang on the stalk for 10 to 14 days before I dry trim it. I don't know how long Marcel leaves his on his rack before he picks it off.
How long do you guys let it cure at work?
That varies.
You can't say, can you?
That varies, Al.
I'd prefer not to.
Okay.
It's a trade secret.
That's why I said that varies.
Everybody does it different. That's what I'm getting at.
I'll be the asshole. I'll say we're not allowed to say.
Okay, no problem.
Because I trim wet and dry on the rack, I can be dry in 3 to 4 days.
Okay.
And then into curing. And
how long do you cure?
Me, anywhere from a month to a year. Just depends on what it is. And whether or not it depends on how much I have. So if I have an overabundance, then I've got lots of it curing right now.
When you hang, what's the optimum time to let it hang? Because I know that it does increase it drives everything into the bud when you hang it, right? Basically.
Well, you're drying the bud slower because you got all that stalk there, right? That stalk has all. It does take a little.
It does take longer so the way you tell when you're hang drying it is when you snap the stem that a bud is on. If it snaps, it's dry.
If it bends, it's not.
So when I dry on my drying racks, I leave buds with long stems. And then, not all of them, but a lot of them I'll leave with long stems. Because what I'll do is when they snap, they're dry. They're all off the rack.
Yeah, see, now I like to hang dry, and I let it dry for 10 to 14 days, and I prefer to have the temperature about 16 to 18 degrees in the room when I dry it, because low and slow and cold. Because the cool weather keeps it drying slower.
But cold?
Yeah, cooler. You almost want to see your nipples in that room when you're drying.
I was just gonna say it sounds like, anyways.
But no, if you're drying on the stalk, that's how I prefer to do it. I find now, there you get into the argument, Marcel. I know you might say something, you might not, but I find you get into the argument of preserving terpene. But you got to remember that terpene is so volatile that as soon as you cut the plant down, it's already starting to degrade.
So my question would be: does it degrade faster by trimming it, or does it degrade the same speed regardless?
Now, see, there's where you get into the argument. Some people say yes, some people say no. I like to say it's all in your own preference, to be honest with you. It's what you prefer, right?
Yep.
So I prefer to do it that way. I find I like my cannabis done that way. I mean, the people that have tried it like it done that way too. So I stick to it that way.
Mm-hmm. Whichever way you're comfortable with, there should be no real discernible difference between the two. But if you want to trim wet, trim wet. If you want to hang and dry and trim, hang, dry, and trim. The bigger difference for me is the amount of crystal loss you get from drying and trimming. Because the crystals are brittle, and when you're trimming the leaves off, you have a ton of crystal that is now your keef. When I wet trim and I use a trim bin, if I hand trim over a trim bin, I have no crystal in the bottom, so I have no crystal loss off my plant matter.
No, because some crystals are still wet. They're not dry,
right?
Per se. So they stick to the bud a lot better.
Right. When I dry them, under my racks is a tray that collects any crystal that falls. So I still get to keep my crystal. Unless you're going to do that over the whole floor of your room that you're drying under.
Mm-hmm.
To me, you'd have so much crystal loss. And since that's where the medicine is, I like to try and keep that crystal.
Well, you like to try to preserve as much of that trichome as possible because that's your medicine. So
yeah.
And that's why I prefer to smoke hash and turn all my byproduct into hash, is because that hash is pure crystal. It's pure trichome heads. Some stalks, but more heads, especially when you get down into the 45 and 70, 45 and 25, 33 micron hash. That's when you're getting into more of your full melt. That's the stuff I like to have.
Actually, I just smoked some of that tonight.
How'd you find it?
I found it good, but I also ate a gummy.
Oh, hey there, neighbor. How was yours?
It's good, man. I enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Lenny, I didn't leave you out.
Yeah, he did. He said, oh, you got to take some of this hash and smoke it, and Dale will smoke some tonight, and we'll leave Lenny out because he didn't come get it.
I actually, I don't think I've seen you guys in a couple of weeks, to be honest.
I know.
It's been a while. You don't come visit us anymore.
No.
Oh, wait, now I haven't been around for a while.
I was going to say, you've been off, too.
Yeah.
That's all right. I got some saved for you, Leonard.
What kind of I've now fucking forgot. Never mind. Go on.
What was that bud you gave me?
4-star General.
That's pretty good.
I know. That's that Chem Dog tea and cross with Trace Dog.
I have some Chem Dog.
Yeah.
I find you're getting into more of the hazy strain.
It is. That's why I like it.
Right? Yeah, it's very tasty. That's what the but I gave you too was their neighbor.
Oh, right on.
Did you smoke it?
No, not yet.
Oh, to wake you right the fuck up.
Yeah, it's sativa. Don't smoke it before bed.
Oh, yeah. To me, it's going to be a perfect one.
I'll have that tomorrow morning with my coffee.
Yeah.
This is very sativa-ish.
Yes, it is. That's why I grabbed it for the morning, and then I got some pink bubba there too that I'm
having some great white shark and some bubble hash.
Yeah, the bubble hash is good, Al. I'd rather smoke that. If I could afford to, I'd turn everything into it, but you don't get very much back in return if you took your 10 grams of bud and turned it into bubble hash. So
I'm gonna get some a bag set this summer for when I get that to that point.
Make sure you buy a set of all mesh bags too, eh? It'll make your life so much easier.
Get quick drain bags, man.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
And they're pretty pretty reasonable price too.
Don't worry.
Yeah, the price is going down.
It looks like your house is on fire, huh?
Does it?
It's across heavy.
Oh, when I lit it?
Yeah.
No, where you were holding the smoke.
Yeah, it's just like
it's just constant smoke going across.
Oh, Yeah, I do like that effect, actually.
No, you get the odd cloud of it. It's cool.
Are you done, Durs?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
For the most part.
Hey, Jack.
Yeah.
You want to talk about mushrooms?
What would you like to talk about?
Well, just like, is this our next argument, you think?
Well, I think that psychedelics certainly, like that's what I mentioned previously, that the special access protocol, so the program, rather the SAP, they're having a review of it. So my firm is going to be basically making a public statement on the issue, certainly. But I think that's an important argument to be had. Absolutely. Yeah. So
I've been pretty honest with my doctor about it, and when I go see him, I'm going to actually ask him if he will help me go that far.
Well, give me a call, man, because if your doctor's willing to prescribe, let's seek an exemption.
Because,
so this is what we did with Theracell, right?
I am microdosing every day almost now. And, it's helping me. I'm not on a stupor on the couch drooling because I'm so fucking depressed I can't get up kind of thing. It helps with my ADHD. I did a top the other day, and then I vacuumed and had dinner with my sister kind of thing. When I don't, I'm having a hard time even getting off the couch. So I want to take it to the next level, and I've always been, he knows already that I'm playing with it. So I guess my question is for somebody who wants to go to that level and push that argument with their doctor's help, what kind of argument or what kind of conversation should you have with your doctor? Like, you should go in fully loaded, I guess, eh? Are doctors going to know more about psilocybin than they will cannabis, do you think?
No.
No. So I think what you're going to encounter often with physicians is reluctance to prescribe, but they're going to want to know about the fact that you've been using it regularly and that you experience certain benefits. So your doctor is not like a cop; like they just want to know, what are you taking, and they want to make those assessments. And sometimes you'll find a great doctor that'll say, "Okay, listen, I'll do some research. Let me look into this." He
will, and I'm going to ask him and tell him I'm willing to fight that battle because it's popping up all over the place in the media now, and they're going ahead with some experimentations with doctors and patients, and like if I can get on that
terminal cancer patient in Alberta was just prescribed it.
Yeah, and here in Ontario, there's 5 doctors, I believe, that are part of the program.
They're taking it themselves to try it. Al, did you change your settings or something?
No, why?
I'm only hearing you on the left side.
Oh. Is that better?
Oh, that's much better.
All right. Okay. Anyways, go on.
Where are we? Well, I suppose my point, and so that's Mr. Hartle that received the exemption in Alberta, which is wonderful, and I'm encouraging more people to go through it. It's funny, I visited my family's farm over the holiday, and my dad and I were just watching reruns, sitting around, and House. Remember House?
I've been watching that too. It's been a marathon.
Yeah, and so we were watching, and this episode from 10 years ago or something deals with a guy that's suffering from really horrible cluster headaches. And of course, cluster, like that form of migraine or that.
Oh, and he took the acid?
House gives him magic mushrooms to deal with it. And then something came up. I couldn't watch the rest of it, but I remember thinking it's not new. This isn't new that people might use this as medicine. So what I would encourage you to do is to seek your own Section 56 exemption for the purpose of that use.
Do you think that it's going to be a big of an argument as cannabis is? Or do you think
they're granting the exemptions? Yeah. Like that's what was so shocking with Theracell, right? Like when we did Theracell, we thought they were going to just reject us, right? Because when we did Tobin's application, they just rejected it. Instead, they just said, "Sure, go ahead and use psilocybin," and we said, "Oh, So the impression is that rather than having, lawful use dictated by, progressive court decisions and litigation, instead of that, it might just be applying for exemptions and using them, and applying for more exemptions and using them.
But that's exactly what happened with the Section 56 before the MMAR. Before Parker got charged, there was a number of candidates using cannabis under the Section 56.
Yeah.
When Parker got charged and when they came out with the MMAR, the people on the Section 56 had to give up their Section 56 and sign over to the MMAR.
Yes, although that is correct. I agree with you. Like we are in agreement. It's just that with psilocybin, it has not been Section 56 guided. Like, I guess my point is that the government has given up a lot easier than it did with cannabis.
Yeah, I think that I can see them getting to the point of being involved in treating it very much the same way as cannabis.
I think that's quite right. Yeah.
And the issue with that, again, is it's more of a medicinal aid than a recreational aid.
Right.
The same as cannabis. It's more medicinal than recreational.
Yeah.
It's not our fault that our medicine makes you happy. But it makes me happy by keeping me alive.
Yeah.
I just know that with the mushrooms, I got a smile on my face and a smile in my head again. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And that's what it's all about. The cannabis helps me move. It helps me get around. And the mushrooms just take the... I got severe ADHD, okay? And I was an experiment in the 60s at the Hinks Clinic. I was on very high doses, blah, 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 blah. I'm sure that there's videos of me playing in a little room at the Hinks Clinic when I was a kid, telling people to fuck off and shit. And it has affected my life to the point where it's crippled me as far as my noggin goes. And I'm finding that psilocybin is helping me where cannabis helps me be more mobile, and it also helps with my mood disorders and stuff. The psilocybin is just, I went through my mom's funeral and everything on mushrooms, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without it. How's about that as an explanation on how well it works? I have not had a breakdown over it, where with nothing. My sister said the asshole is gone the other day, So, it's a fight that we're gonna fight, Jack. I'm on board.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm
actively... If my doctor won't do it, let's find a doctor that will.
Okay. Well, I love that.
All right.
I'm absolutely supportive of that.
Okay. Is there anything that you want to bring up? I mean, you do a lot of work for Normal and a lot of cannabis businesses, representing them, and COVID has really affected things, right? Luckily, they're allowing these stores to stay open. Got anything to add?
So I think that it was quite wonderful to see cannabis stores, deemed essential across the country, essentially. That was great. I would say that it's kind of cool, certainly in Ontario and BC to a certain extent. Cannabis stores are really kind of like the only storefront retailers that are, looking to open over the course of 2020. Everyone
They're
else
all over Toronto, as you know.
Yeah, so I think that was very positive. It's great for sort of normalizing cannabis. It's great for broadening awareness and improving access. So all of that was good. I think that a lot of the loosened restrictions associated with COVID we're going to need to fight to keep. Certainly that's...
I know that at the end of the first wave, they said no more delivery. And now I'm watching and they're saying delivery and mail order only. I mean, like, make up your fucking mind.
Yeah.
Smoke a joint, Doug. Come on.
Yeah, well, I think they're all struggling, certainly. But the hope is that we have sensible rules that can let people run a business safely and effectively and hopefully profitably.
Do you think the honeymoon is over?
No, I think that there's like now's the time. Like if you love cannabis and you wanted to open a legal cannabis business, go for it. Like
I've thought about it. I've thought about it.
Might as well.
Yeah.
You're not going to just wave a magic wand and have a bunch of magical, stock market money drop in your lap and you're a bazillionaire or something. But like, if you want to run a great business
all of us have lots of friends who are opening up stores all over. Brittany's doing it. Conrad's doing it. I wish Paula was doing it, but she's moved on. I've considered it, but for me now, there's no sense me opening up a store 10 minutes from the reservation. It doesn't make sense, right?
You might have some pretty stiff competition.
You think? I don't think that anybody would even come in the door at this point up there, anyways, because that's where I go. I'm very spoiled. I actually went to Cafe yesterday, and because I fully support what they're doing. Okay. And I like the fact, I've always said since the beginning, I want to be able to walk in a door and buy my weed and leave. I don't want to have to fill out a questionnaire. I don't want security questions. I just want to go, which you can do in the legal stores. You present your ID and you walk in. So yes, Cafe is not a legal entity. But they run it as if they were. Same restrictions. You show your ID at the door, you go in, you get your weed, and you leave.
Where do they get their cannabis from?
That's none of my business.
So what are their prices like compared to the licensed producer or the legal stores?
Well, I don't know. I've never been in a legal store, unless you want to call a reservation dispensary a legal store. At the reservation, they've got the BOGOs, the buy one, get one half, right? So you can go up there and get a quarter pound for $300, or you can go down to a legal store, and I don't know how much a quarter pound would cost through a legal store, but or if you
they can't sell you.
Yeah, I was going to say, or if you could even get that. You're looking at $100 an ounce at the reservation, basically. You're looking at $5 to $12 is what I saw when I was in Cafe, right? I've not been into a legal OCS type store.
I have, is because it's the only place that you can get Tro Cannabis products.
Well, you know what? And I was looking online. There's a few stores around here. I'm just on the cusp. I'm in North York, but I'm just on the cusp of Scarborough, and there's a lot of stores opening up in Scarborough. And their prices aren't so bad, but what it is by the time you leave there, you're paying $10 a gram, yes, but then you're paying your taxes, and it's raising it up to like $15, $20 a gram, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah.
So anyways, I looked at several stores in my area, and nobody's got them. You guys need to work on that. Nobody's got your shit, man.
That's up to them.
Is it?
Yeah, because Ontario Cannabis buys from us. They buy from Ontario Cannabis.
And they have a catalog that you can go through and buy what you want. Do you guys know where you can get in Ontario, or is it just at OCS? Like, do they tell you these things?
No, it's at dispensaries. I'll be honest. Half our stuff sold out.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you can go look for it, but there's not much left out there. I actually opened up a Cannabis Mac at Christmas.
Is that something that's happening across the board with LPs in general, Len? I mean,
no. Like
It's
good
it's
one.
gonna take
Our good stuff is selling out.
You guys have
We have a couple slow movers.
How many? I know you don't want to give particulars, but you guys, this is a year in now, right?
You're asking, and go ahead.
Okay,
if I can't answer,
I
I'll tell
know.
you.
You're a year into being fully legal, right?
About 6 months, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has it gotten easier? Because you guys had 5 years of fighting.
Our issue is we can't grow enough.
So it's going to take you guys a little while to catch up.
It's not a matter of catching up. Our problem is our products are selling faster than we can grow them.
Grow it. That's
And
basically
so
the issue.
back to my question: is that the norm right now? Is that what is happening? Because we've gone
for
from
some LP,
not enough,
it has to be
to
quality.
too much, to now you've got too much. You got to get rid of some. You know
That's where a lot of the LPs are at now. Some of the bigger LPs have got so much that they kind of created a glut, so their prices are going down.
And
but
they're
the people
not allowed
still
to sell
want
at wholesale, are they?
No.
That's stupid.
To other LPs, but not to the general public.
Are they even? Are LPs even allowed to offer direct to customer yet?
Medical only.
Medical only, yep. But you got to remember, Al, you got the difference of premium cannabis compared to mid grade compared to low grade.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with a lot of these, and I won't say names, but when you deal with a lot of these bigger companies, you're getting a lot of mid grade cannabis
and low grade.
Yeah,
because they were trying to get a good foothold into the market, so they wanted a cheap product and a quick turnaround.
Does the customer know that at this point?
I think the customer are figuring it out. I mean, if you go into the dispensary and they've got one in there that's $50 for 3.5 grams and it's 30% THC, and they've got another one that's $40 or $45 for 3.5 grams and it's 20%, which one are you going to spend your money on?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, like premium is premium. Case in point, you go in and get $100 ounce. You're going to get a nice bud. You're not going to get an overly gorgeous bud, though. It'll be smokable, but for some people, it's not.
Well, some people think that it's got to be perfect and it's got to be fully coated in crystal and things like that. But then the first thing they do when they get it is rip it all apart.
I know. I always laugh at that.
Right? So, I mean, what's the friggin' difference?
To me, I'll be honest, if you smoke it, tasted good, smooth, and it fucked you up for an hour or two, perfect.
Yep. Then you win.
Again, I'm talking from the recreational cannabis standpoint, not your medical.
No.
But if you're buying something from, be it a native or OCS or whatever, it's the consumer that's got to be content with. I spent X amount of dollars, I got X amount of product, I consumed it, and was that effect worth it? Was I happy with that price and that scenario?
I just had that conversation with my sister actually, because I said, I hate paying retail. I live 10 minutes from the reservation at my place up north there, and I've gotten spoiled. What?
I do too, Al.
Okay, so yeah, and you see, and that's what I find hilarious is you guys don't get any discount like the guys at Molson do. Okay, you guys can't get any samples like they do at Molson's.
There's no samples,
okay?
no.
Guys you guys don't even have a way of marketing other than here's a bud, try it.
Honestly, the only marketing we have are all the social media reviewers. That's it. There's a bunch of people.
But
on
you're not
Instagram
allowed
and Twitter.
to offer it to a reviewer to review it. They have to go out and purchase it. And what
They
I'm
have
getting
to go
at,
buy it.
okay, but if I wanted to try a tequila that just came out, I'd just call up the tequila company and say, "Hey, buddy, I'd like to review your product." They send me a bottle. I'd sit here and do shots all fucking night. No, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I wouldn't. But
you could.
I could. Yeah.
Right,
I have.
But that's just one of the many hurdles that we have. We can't do marketing.
Do you think that's going to change, Jack?
No, currently Health Canada is going the opposite direction on
for
marketing.
fuck's
So they're targeting people for the color coding on their packaging. Been like a big crackdown that the packaging isn't colored appropriately. So like the future appears to be like all gray packaging at all times.
Boring as hell.
Yeah,
Very much
so-
similar to what they've done to the tobacco.
Yeah, so I my position is that they are not backing down on this advertising issue. I think that's a great case. Like, I'd love to. That would be super fun. But that is coming, I'm sure.
Now
But
I'm going
I
to
don't
take the
view them-
opposite stand. I'm going to take the opposite stance from Jack, because this COVID thing has created such a need for cash. I think they may be forced to lighten up a little bit.
Oh, that would be great. I would love that.
I think not an altruistic reason why they're doing it, or the right reason. I just think there's going to be we need the money and the taxes, guys. Let's fucking rock it. I just got a gut feeling that's what's going to happen.
I hope you're right.
I'm sure that.
No, I just see all these billions as like, where are you guys going to recoup this? And the one sector, as we said, that's kind of growing in Canada is cannabis. People want to open cannabis dispensaries. People want to. It's legal consumption is growing as much as the black market still exists, or gray, pardon me, whatever terminology you want to use. It is the one thing in Canada that is growing. So what? Pardon the pun, but I just think eventually they're just going to like, we need the fucking money, we need the jobs. We got to eventually get over it.
I think that if they really looked at how much money that in taxes alone that the cannabis industry worldwide will bring in for every country that it's available in. Like when I started doing this 13 years ago now, okay, we were waiting for California to go legal. They're going to be the first. You remember that, Jack? They're going to be the first to go legal. It's going to be California. No.
Right.
It wasn't. Arnold helped.
He pushed.
But it wasn't. And here we are in 2021 now, and Canada is legal, but yet it in some cases, like I'm just now remembering that when I don't have anything left, I can go down the road and get it. I don't have to go to the dealer guy anymore. But I haven't gotten to the point where I want to support, and I'm sorry, guys, the OCS way. I don't believe that is a way that a medical patient should have to obtain their meds. Okay.
No, medical patients should be going to again, I'm a pharmacist biased, but medical people should be getting their fucking medicine at a pharmacy.
At a pharmacy or something
and again,
like that.
I'm biased because I own pharmacies.
Well, let me ask you a question, Len. Are there products that you can sell in your store that I could grow in my farm and not have the same issues that I would if I grew mushrooms or cannabis? Like, are there other plant forms that you can sell legally that will help me, that they're not worried about?
In a pharmacy, not like are you talking about like ginseng and stuff like that?
I guess whatever, any
like, you
natural.
can go farm anything you want,
stuff.
but I can't go. I can't sell them out of my pharmacy unless they have a NPN number or something like that.
Oh,
like chaga. I'll pick on chaga for example. I can't go pick chaga and sell it in my pharmacy.
Okay.
Somebody can at a farmer's market.
Is chaga illegal, Jack?
No, it's not illegal, but I have pharmacy standards to meet.
It's not illegal yet.
Chaga?
Yeah, I'll say yet.
I have a lot of birch trees.
Well, there's no risk with chaga.
No, but they'll still make it illegal. If people start saying they're benefiting from chaga, they'll make it illegal.
Oh, I don't think it's that. It's the inebriation, and that's the difference. And we were talking with Alan's doctor. I think the doctor's going to have you're going to have to explain him what a microdosing is, because anyone takes a you're not getting the hallucination effects. at the doses Al's talking about.
No, I don't at all.
The only other question the doctor's going to ask is like, where do you get it?
Well,
and the consistency and the sourcing. That would be the only doctor concern.
That's never been a concern of where I get it with my doctor, so I don't think that.
No, but most doctors, should be their questions is like, how do you know you're getting the right stuff and the consistent dosing? Because they have to approach this analytically. Well, but the other issue is they won't know what a microdose is or what effect you're getting.
Like Mary Jane actually asked a question on our stream on Facebook. How do you think that the edible market in Canada is doing? And as far as opening bakeries in the future, where are we of bakeries and stuff and like cafes and stuff, Jack?
As far as bakeries being able to, it's interesting. I always sort of suggest, like with alcohol, there's no bar. The bakery's making tiramisu, and they walk down.
Actually, there was a bakery that was just busted for putting alcohol in their cookies.
Right. Generally it's a tax issue that they're looking at with that.
Really?
What's I think more like with cannabis, as I mentioned sort of at the start, because they chose to regulate cannabis by way of the criminal law, a bakery that was doing that with cannabis, although it should, and they shouldn't get charged, technically they'd be guilty of a Section 9 offense, and then they'd be guilty of a production offense as well. So they could get like 14 years jail, right? Like that's the max penalty on that, on basically the exact same situation for a bakery as with alcohol versus cannabis. So it's not great. And I don't think that we're there yet. Like I'm just seeing too many criminal charges being laid for illegal, because it's so easy for cops. They're kind of addicted to
it's conditioning.
Charges.
And I'm hoping you will see eventually, like the cannabis consuming cafe or bar, or whatever you want to call it.
I would love that. Yeah, I think it's coming.
It will, but it's far. I think it's a couple of years away still.
Yeah,
I think when you see the U.S. make their drastic change, Canada's going to have to react.
Yeah,
I think that's when we're going to see changes.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, guys, the Canadian
Al,
a Canadian trapper was sexually assaulted by a beaver.
I read it as a 200-pound beaver.
Was it a 200-pound beaver? I saw
that
the other day.
Beaver or beaver?
A beaver.
A beaver, not Justin Bieber. I don't think he's more than 150 pounds, probably.
Yes, start that.
I could say something to that, Marcel, but I won't. Maybe he was sexually assaulted by a 200-pound beaver. Oh, God.
Hey, real men eat beaver.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Oh, I grabbed the wrong mouse. Oh, no, I had the wrong mouse. Jack.
Yes.
We love you. Thank you for being a part of our lives for the last 12 years.
Oh, absolutely. That's super fun for me, man. Always a pleasure.
It's always a great when he's on.
Why don't you...
This is my 12th anniversary.
Oh,
I was going to say, Marcel, happy anniversary to you and yours, but why you
That's
never
not a happy
celebrated
anniversary.
it?
It's
Why?
not an anniversary celebrate.
Oh, all right.
This was the day I went to the hospital and started my wonderful MS journey.
Oh. Well, congratulations on surviving.
Every year, this is the first year that I actually remembered.
Wow.
No, I've been with the show 6 years now, isn't it?
Probably closer to 8 now.
Yeah, Jack's been here like forever.
Jack's been coming since I can't remember which co-host I was doing the show with. Probably Dave
but Jack
and Brian.
Jack used to come before Jack was a lawyer.
Jack has been coming around, yes, to talk about his books, and I want to make sure that before he goes, he tells people, because, like I said, I've held one. That's it.
I was supposed to get one, and it still didn't show up.
Unfortunately, your screen is messing up the
now,
picture, Jack.
I have that thing for my when I'm in court, and it's. But anyway, that's the new book, the Psilocybin Chef Cookbook. Pretty
and it's
cool and
available
exciting.
where?
Available at all good bookstores as well as Amazon. Lots of head shops carry it.
Yeah, Campbellford Lifestyle Shop has it.
Oh, cool!
Yeah.
Oh, great!
Yeah,
that makes me happy.
That's
Great.
That's Canada's.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep, they have one
That's
sitting
super
there.
cool.
That's the one I've held.
Oh, nice.
And I'm gonna get one. I just have to,
Beauty.
Yeah.
Break down and spend the money.
That's a new book, man. So I hope people like it. It's pretty cool.
Do you have? Can we send people to Green Candy to the website to order stuff, or is that the best, quickest way?
Best is Amazon. Just go on Amazon to order it. If you want to track us down and see our books, we're just we're on
They have
Instagram.
a lot. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah,
because they also have.
Green... Oh, sorry, bro.
No, they also have my other favorite book.
They have a lot of favorite books.
The third edition Grow Bible.
Somebody stole mine.
Oh yeah, that's a great book.
My
That's
Professor
a very
Lee
good
book, dude.
Oh,
I
really?
don't have it anymore. It's not. I haven't found it in boxes or anything. Yeah. One day I hope to have a whole catalog of Green Candy Press books at my place. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
We'll have a whole library of Green Candy because at one time you guys were one of the only publishing companies that was putting out books about cannabis.
Yeah, well, yeah, we were sort of one of the guys doing it. There's lots more now. I don't know how long they'll stick around doing it. We've been doing it for a long time.
Do you think that print?
We're
is gonna
definitely
go
the only
bye-bye?
one making new books about psilocybin. Although I think that people are going to start doing it now that it's.
Are you going to continue?
We got
doing
into the
print?
psilocybin books like 4 years.
Yeah.
ago.
Are you going to continue doing print though?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That like ebooks are still. It's a really marginal element. It's not. Ebooks don't sell as well as people believe.
My mom gave me an e-reader years and years and years ago, which I don't read, so I gave it to my buddy, and he was pulling stuff out of his bag at the trailer a couple of weeks ago, and he pulled the thing out. And he still uses it too. The thing's probably like it's an actual an e-reader. I think it's what it's called, and
is it a Kobo?
I think audiobooks are the new future.
Is it a what, Dars?
Yeah.
Is it a Kindle or a Kobo?
It's I believe it's a Kindle.
Yeah.
I think audiobooks is where everything's going.
Yeah, I've found audiobooks to be extremely useful. I'll be out if I'm walking somewhere. I can just
exactly. I've been doing podcasts like Rogan's and all those things, and I just think that's
so. Saying that
for the busy person,
you can get us at 420radio.ca, and you can look at the catalog that we have on of Spreaker of like 12 years or so of shows that we've done, various formats. Al Graham's show, and lots of Jack stuff. But it's a lot of information, and there's like I think almost 1,000 hours or 500 hours of podcasts there that you can get on the radio, that you can get on the Radio Canada app and on the Spreaker app and on iTunes, all the formats you can get it on. Like if you just type in the 420 radio show, yeah, it's baffling.
Oh my goodness!
I do a search every now and then, and I find websites that are listing our podcasts that I've never heard of. They're just tiny little, this is what we listen to podcast sites, and they list every show.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. It's insane.
It is.
It's
well, you've been doing this a long time too. Like how many podcasts do you think that you've been on, Jack? I mean, come on now.
Man, I don't know, a lot. It's been
Just
fun,
imagine,
man.
just imagine if you had a nickel for every one, Jack.
I love it.
I tell you,
I'm greedy. I'd like $1.
If I had $1 for every Bitcoin sample that was sent to me back when it was coming out, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. Okay?
Should have took them Bitcoins out.
Should have taken those fucking Bitcoins. Yep. You got a place where people can find you if they need legal advice, Jack?
You can just email my office, which is info@lloydlawcorporation.ca, or you can reach out through Twitter. I'm Jack Lloyd Lawyer on Twitter. And then if you'd like to talk about Green Candy Press and the great books, you can just look us up at Green Candy Press.
Yeah, and they're
Twitter,
on Facebook too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Guys, you got anything you want to slide in there? Any shout-outs? Any thank yous for a great years? No? I didn't think so.
Not really. Well, an old fella jogged by me here the other day. I have an old man that lives up top of the hill by me, and he jogs like 15, 20 miles a day. This old fella, he jogs like that. This is how he got back to good health, as he jogs and jogs and jogs. Anyways, every time he jogs by, he always pops in, gives my dog a treat, and tells me a joke. Now, sometimes the jokes are clean, and other times they're dirty. Well, he told me a dirty joke the other day, and I never stopped laughing for 20 minutes afterwards. He told me that. So I'm going to go ahead and tell it to you, Al. One day, a little boy got off the school bus, came home from school, and his grandpa was sitting on the step, rocking in the rocking chair, having a smoke. And the little boy had come up. He said, "Grampy, can I have a smoke?" And the Grampy looked at him. He goes, "No." He goes, "Does your dick touch your asshole?" He goes, "No." He goes, "Well, then I guess you can't have a smoke." He goes, so the little fellow was kind of disappointed because he wanted to be like Grampy. So he all of a sudden he went in the house. Well, a couple of days went by, and Grampy was coming home from hunting, and the little fellow was sitting on the doorstep, and his grandmother just made him this beautiful fresh chocolate cake, just beautiful, icing it and everything. And Grampy could smell it. He walked from the doorstep. He looked at the little boy, and he said, "Hey, do you mind if I have a piece?" He goes, "Does your dick touch your asshole?" Grampy goes, well, matter of fact, it does." He goes, "Good, go fuck yourself." The little boy told Grampy go fuck himself because he couldn't have what he had. And then the old man just jogs back down the road. It's funny.
You're weird, Darcy.
Yeah.
My only shout out, Al, is to Letterkenny in season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Oh God, he's giving shows.
I'm gonna go back to watching Candy Maker. Always a pleasure, guys. Jack, thanks again. We'll be talking about that retreat, buddy, very soon.
Sounds good. Happy New Year, everyone. It was wonderful to see you all. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Jack. Guys, thank you. It's a pleasure as always. We'll be back here next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Fridays, right here at Lifestyle Radio and 420
8 p.m. Atlantic. We always forget poor fucking Atlantic.
Well, you know what? We're going to sit down and do some stuff so that we don't forget that shit. All right, we're out of here, guys.
We don't forget. We know what time it is.
Yeah.
We just never get the... No, everybody across the country forgets there's an Atlantic time zone.
Well, that's because you're so far out. Okay, muting now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good one, guys.
So what are you doing? Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.